Hey guys, and welcome back. This is the FPL Aussie, and today we're going to go through Game Week 8 Wildcard Draft. So, this is my current team at the moment. I've got Flecken in goal, quite a big back four at the moment. My current team actually has Saka in the midfield still after his injury. Rodgers and Mbeumo, Adama Traore, Brennan Johnson, and then Watkins and Haaland up front with Jefferson just sitting there as bench cover. I think maybe let's just do a complete cleanse of this team, and we'll have a look through some of the fixtures coming up and who we think the main players need to be going forwards. If we just come into fixture, the FDR, and I think we'll see probably the key fixtures over the next, the big green fixtures over the next few weeks. You've got Everton with an unbelievable fixture run, really. Like their next 7 game weeks are probably all the 7 teams you want to be playing at the moment, really, with the exception of maybe Leicester. Again, like a lot of the major good fixtures over the next 3 to 4 weeks are the lower teams. So you see like Leicester and Ipswich, Southampton all playing each other really over this period. Same as Everton, really. Those 4 are all playing each other over this period. Spurs also have an excellent 4 game week period. West Ham, Palace, Villa, Ipswich from an attacking perspective. And Man United also have a very good few fixtures over the next few game weeks. The main big team that you see with great fixtures is Man City, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Brighton, Tottenham. All really, maybe not Tottenham, but the first 4, all very good attacking fixtures. And then the rest of the teams, Arsenal with Saka potentially out as well. Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, not ideal. Chelsea have got Liverpool, Newcastle, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, Villa, City in a few weeks after that. So if we sit, and I think also Brentford here, you've got to call out of another still just fantastic fixture run. So if we just flick back to the team and we say the key teams I think that we were talking about before would be Everton with a fantastic fixture run. And if we're having a look through their team, probably the people you'd have to think about are McNeil and Calvert-Lewin. Now McNeil's been playing a really interesting role lately. A few games for Everton, and it's been completely different to how he's played previously in previous years. So over these last 5 matches, you'll see he's managed XG 0.3, 0.1, 0.1, non-penalty expected goals. Yeah, looking at that, you say his assists are good in the first couple of games, and then a bit of XG over that, but really, other than that, it's not been fantastic. And Everton are not fantastic going forward. So, yeah, there's been a lot of talk about Dwight McNeil, and to be honest, like I've never been a big fan of the way he's played. It's just this new role, really, playing in the number 10 that's made him be considered as a target. And especially with these Everton fixtures coming up, you got to think, and you see really from some of this, some of the ownership data of the elite managers, is that you see they really target these fixture swings. You can see that 58.4% of them have got Calvert-Lewin in their team, and that is a crazy number. Predominantly starting as well. Only 3% have Dwight McNeil. All right, so maybe we leave McNeil for now. I think some of the absolute stonewall picks have got to be Bryan Mbeumo, and you saw that even the elite managers had 98% of them had Bryan Mbeumo. Brentford with that fantastic fixture run, I think it's important to target him. Man City, of course, with their fixture run, let's have Erling Haaland in there. And then the question is, with Man City, would you look to go to somebody like a Foden or potentially a De Bruyne if he's back from injury after this break and double up in the attack, or would you consider double up in defence of perhaps a Lewis and a Guardiola? Now, I think if you want to go for the risky upside, I think either a Foden or a De Bruyne are the way to go. If De Bruyne is confirmed to be back after the international break, I think I would have him in my side. If he's not back after the international break, I would probably go for a double up in the defence. So let's, for the sake of this, say Kevin De Bruyne comes back after the international break, and then for now, let's go with Guardiola, and if we don't have the budget later, we can bring in a Lewis. Goalkeepers, we'll just have 1 4 million, and then what are we going to have over the next 6-7 game weeks? There's a potential of maybe a Pickford from Everton. You could go for a Flecken for Brentford, or you could even go for maybe an Onana of United would be an interesting pick that people probably are not going for at the moment. I don't think Raya's a great pick for the time being, just because the Arsenal fixture run's not very good at the moment. Alisson's also out for Liverpool, and Liverpool without Alisson, regardless of whoever their backup keeper is, whether it's going to be Kelleher or if he's out, they're going to have Yaros, who played like 20 minutes or 10, 11 minutes in that last game against Crystal Palace. I think it's just not worth going down that line for Liverpool. I think there's potential to actually put Yaros in as a 4 million backup goalkeeper in the case that Kelleher is injured and you want a Liverpool player in there. But then that also takes away one of your Liverpool slots in the team. So I think just for now we're going to stick with Iverson. And I think based off the fixtures and the amount of saves generally that Flecken manages to obtain, I think I would go with Flecken as the other goalie. I would say Pickford also would be a good pick. Nothing wrong with going for him. I'm just going for Flecken based on the fact that Brentford do concede a few shots from quite a lot of shots from outside the box, and Flecken does have the ability to make quite a few saves. I'm not expecting a lot of clean sheet points from him, however. At the back and over this period, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold has been fantastic for Liverpool so far. Well, Liverpool have been fantastic at the back so far. Trent Alexander-Arnold actually hasn't picked up too many attacking returns. He's only got 1 assist. So the question there in the Liverpool team is, do we go into someone cheaper in the Liverpool team like Konate, or do we splash out and look for the upside of Trent? I think the key things to focus on here are actually putting the money that you want in your midfield and attack, and then working out where you get to for the defence. The defence is a bit more easy to manoeuvre around the different players. I think the attack is where you want to focus your mind and your money. So in the attack, we've obviously got options like Cole Palmer. However, his fixtures aren't fantastic over the next 4 weeks. Some people would say Cole Palmer's a must-have in any team. I would probably say that from game week 12, he is an absolute must-have. Until then, it's a question mark on whether you want to go for him in your team or you want to wait until then. Liverpool without Alisson is not as good a defence. Alisson really commands that back four and comes out and sweeper keeps very well. and is also good at playing out with his feet from the back and retaining the possession for Liverpool, therefore having less shots coming at them because the other team often has less possession. So perhaps that's not as tough a game for Cole as you'd expect. However, it is away at Liverpool. So I think on the basis of that, let's look into some of the teams that we're targeting over this game week, over the next few game weeks. And we would say Spurs, with good fixtures over the next 4 weeks, is probably where we should be looking in the midfield or the striker potential. So now the question is, who are we looking for? And I would say the best option here and the guy in the best form is between Johnson and Maddison. My particular view is Johnson is a fantastic asset. He scored in his last 3 games and also in the Champions League. I think possibly the last 2 Champions League games as well, and also recorded 1 assist. Maddison also has had 2 goals and 3 assists over the course of these 7 games, probably playing similar, if not slightly more minutes to Johnson. But I think just because of the goal threat, I would go for Johnson in the midfield. I think he's nailed on to be starting all of these games with, Sarr coming off the bench for some other minutes. There's a question now of whether you want to go for a Spurs double up. I think Solanke's looked very good for Spurs. He has recorded some good XG in the games that he played. 0.17, not so great, but that was against Arsenal. Brentford 1.61, Man United 1.33. Against Brighton 0.00 XG, and that was he did, however, manage 1 assist, but he was taking up those positions and sort of showing for the ball and allowing those wingers to run on past him and get into the positions to score goals. I'm not 100% sold on Solanke. I do think he's probably a good option, but let's just go through the rest of the team, see if we can find someone else, and then we'll come back to that afterwards. Looking down this list and who the other big ticket players are, we've got Man United with great fixtures, Leicester, Ipswich also with great fixtures, and potentially West Ham. I'd probably say I'm not that interested in United players just because of the way they've been playing recently. Like, they've just not been creating any chances whatsoever. Leicester, there's a potential for a shout on Jamie Vardy. Ipswich, perhaps with a Delap. Outside of that, there's not really too many options that you'd be looking at from those teams. That leads me to think now, all right, well, considering there's not too many key guys that you're looking for, who are the players that can score big points for you? And that's when you come back to looking at players like a Palmer, a Salah, Saka, etc. Now, I think over the next few games, you see Liverpool with Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, Villa, Southampton, Man City. Not fantastic games, quite difficult. Chelsea, on the other hand, Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United, Arsenal, also not great games. But after that, they have a fantastic fixture run. So for me, it's worth getting Palmer in there now. He might potentially do well against Liverpool. I think Newcastle, Man United, you never know. Arsenal is going to be a tough game. But then after that, you want him in your team for that long haul. I think he's a good player to pick, and he's potential to get you big points. And then we've got one more spot in our midfield. Where do we want to go? Now, I think you've got a few options here. You could look for a more budget enabler like a McNeil, a Rodgers, a Smith Rowe, a Semenyo, or you could again go for one of the big teams that create the most chances and are more likely to get you the goals. And there, if you're looking in an Arsenal or a Liverpool, who are the guys that you're going to go for? Now, again, Arsenal fixtures really pick up from 12 onwards. The only problem with Arsenal is Saka going to be available? Is he not? And now there's this rotation to think about with Sterling coming into the team for Martinelli and Trossard. Are they going to be playing all the minutes? I would love to have Trossard in the team if I could. I think he's a fantastic pick and a really good player for Arsenal, who is a bit of a differential as well and could score a lot of points. Same for Martinelli. I think he hasn't finished very well this season, but having him in the team would also be a great pick. My other option is Diego Jota playing up front for Liverpool. He keeps playing the minutes. Slot doesn't seem to be going down the Darwin route. Darwin's only played over 45 minutes once this season against Bournemouth. Jota, on the other hand, has started every other game this season for Liverpool. Yes, he's come off around the 59-minute mark once, but apart from that, he's been playing 90 minutes and 70 minutes. I think this was potentially he was carrying a little bit of an issue into those games around this time, and that's why Darwin got the start. However, Jota's looked fantastic in the last game against Palace with 0.81 expected goals, and he probably could have scored more goals throughout the season. He missed some big chances earlier on in the season for Liverpool. The only issue with Liverpool is obviously the fixtures: Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, Villa, Southampton, and then Man City. I think this midfield option is probably up to you. It depends what sort of risk you're willing to go for. If you're willing to take a risk on these players, I'm going to put in Diego Jota just because I think playing up front for Liverpool is obviously fantastic. That means we're going to start 5 in the midfield, and it's quite an expensive midfield, so we're going to have to save some money elsewhere. At the back, I think Arsenal, you got to have one defence just because they're the best defence. We're going to go with Gabriel for now. One of the defenders on the back line, I think it's important to have cheap budget defenders. So we're going to go with a Wout Faes from Leicester at 4 million, just because he might actually be 4.1 now. Yeah, I had Faes in since the beginning of the season, which is why I have him 4 mil still. If you were to look at another 4 million player, I would say he's also 4.1 now, but I would say Greaves of Ipswich would be a great shout as well. So I guess a toss up between those. They both have good fixtures over the next 5, 6, over the next really 7 game weeks. I'm going to go with Faes. I think he's also most likely to start every game for Leicester, even with Westergaard coming back. And he's just a good budget enabler for me. Now, up front, over the next few game weeks, we don't really have a huge amount of people to look at. However, if we pull over to something that I've been looking at lately, and that is an analysis of the fixtures that we have over the next few weeks, I have pulled down all of the Premier League fixtures for the year and pivoted them into a pivot table, and then I've then looked to sort of pick out those key teams that we're looking to target over the next few weeks, and you can see that the fixture swings here for 12 to 18. Chelsea, West Ham, Brighton, Liverpool, Newcastle start to have good attacking fixtures when they start playing some of the Wolves, Leicester's, Ipswich's of the worlds. This pivot table I've sort of split out by attack and defence. So I think the pink ones are still good attacking fixtures, and the green ones are good defensive fixtures. There's a bit of an overlap on there at the moment, but I've noted down here which teams have those key things. So you can see Arsenal defence has some fantastic fixtures from 12 to 18, as the Man City. That's why we've got Gabriel in there. That's why we've got Guardiola in there for the time being. Cole Palmer we've got in for his great fixture run over here. So now Liverpool, we've also got Diego Jota in there. So, and now we're probably looking maybe at a Brighton player, as they seem to have some good fixtures that we want to target going forwards. Um, Alternatively, we could perhaps look at Fulham over the next few game weeks and maybe a Raul Jimenez, either him or perhaps a João Pedro, Danny Welbeck on that side of things. We're also seeing Ipswich with some great targeted fixtures for defence. This maybe is thinking then maybe we should go for Greaves over Fairs. That might be something that now, when I go back to this team, we can take a look at. So coming back to our team, having seen that, let's go for Greaves at the back. Up front, let's have a look at the forwards. We got Danny Welbeck at 5.8, Raul Jimenez at 5.6. Let's slot in Raul Jimenez for now. Fulham's fixtures coming up at the moment. They've got Villa, Everton, Brentford, Palace, Wolves. All of those are potentially conceding goals. Brighton's conceded plenty of goals, and then 15, 16, Arsenal, Liverpool. Potentially that's where you may look to switch out to a Welbeck or a João Pedro, who has fantastic fixtures over that form, and we can then avoid the Liverpool Man City for Brighton in weeks 10 and 11. Now, we've got 9.2 million for the final two players. That means we're probably going to be looking at some cheaper options in defence. And as we discussed, Arsenal have some fantastic fixtures coming up. However, I think it's difficult for their defenders to be able to find someone that you can rely on to be playing in all of these games. Perhaps Calafiori, he seems to have gained favour from Arteta. Also, has got quite far forward up the pitch in some of these games. He might be someone to look at, but again, quite expensive as an option. Man City also with some great fixtures. Leads you into possibly going for a Rico Lewis in midfield. That would leave us with 4.6 to spend on a final defender spot. I think doubling up on City is actually a really we're going to have too many City players selected. So we're then going to come to the question of who we go for here. So perhaps we remove Guardiola and we go for an Arsenal defence double up with it, Calafiori, mainly to target this fixture run from 12 going forwards, and that will leave us with 4.7 for one more defender spot. Mazraoui at the moment, potential injury concerns. Fulham have been fantastic at the back, and they have a pretty good run. I suppose Villa, Brentford, Spurs all been scoring goals as of these guys. Maybe that's not as good a run as it looks. Aston Villa have been poor at the back. Their fixtures are not fantastic. Perhaps if we go to our fixture optimizer, and we go in here and we look at game week 12 to game week 18, and we look defense, you see actually Villa have a great run over that game week, as do Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton, Chelsea and Palace. Everton also with good fixtures. Fulham as well. Fulham actually have some good fixtures over the next few games. Then they run into Arsenal and Liverpool in 15. I think that's where you move from Fulham. If you go in for Fulham, you probably go into them this week or next week for that 1, 2, 3, 4 game week run. Yeah, and then maybe if we look over the next 4, do we have anybody that lines up in both of those? Not really. You can see the fixture swing really changes after game week 11. Fulham are the only ones that sort of sit around there. Everton have got unbelievable fixtures. Ipswich is still sticking around there. Man City is still sticking around there. So really over the next 4 is completely different view to then from maybe let's have a look at 13 to 18. Brighton, Wolves, Arsenal, Chelsea, West Ham, Newcastle, Spurs. Perhaps let's have a look at the Chelsea defense and see if there's anybody there that we can perhaps have a look at. Maybe a Colwill. He's played 90 minutes every game. Maybe we go into Levi Colwill here. We got 0.1 mil. What do you think, guys? I think that looks like what we could go for as a game week 8 draft. Not bad. And then maybe if we just say De Bruyne doesn't make it, that will probably change things. That would mean perhaps we can go for a bit of a safer pick. Double up on City. And then we got 9.4 in the midfield. A lot of money in the midfield. Maybe you'd go for a McNeil. And then perhaps that gives you the money to go to the main man at the back and go to Trent. What do we think of that, guys? That could be a really, really interesting team. It's a bit different. It's not the same as what you're seeing everywhere, but I like it. Let me know in the comments what you think down below. Looking at it now, yeah, would be a nice wildcard team over the next few weeks. I think if you are going to wildcard, guys, make sure that you plan for that fixture swing in 12 and 13. If you can wildcard now into it, I would say try and wildcard into a safer team. If you're not sure about De Bruyne, I think this is probably a much safer team. I would say the only people here that you're going to be worrying about on a weekly basis are going to be Jota and then maybe your Guardiola Lewis, but realistically, one of them is going to play every week, and Trent, Gabriel, and Greaves are also going to play every week. So you could easily just play. If Jota didn't play and one of these two didn't play, you could play 4-4-2 and you could be all right. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. Thanks for watching and catch you next time with some more great stuff. See ya.